Hello, everyone, and welcome to Neurocracy. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Jonathan Flynn, an assistant teaching professor in the Department of Neuroscience at Rice University. Dr. Flynn played a central role in helping launch the neuroscience major at Rice University, teaching courses ranging from molecular and behavioral neuroscience to science communication. He also leads an outreach program called BrainSTEM that brings neuroscience to K through 12 communities. Dr. Flynn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here.
My first question for you is, how did you first become interested in theoretical neuroscience?
Actually, it was a bit through philosophy that I became interested in theoretical neuroscience. So I studied physics and psychology in undergrad, and then the 2008 crisis hit, and it turns out that the best solution was to stay in school. So I stayed in school to study philosophy for a year, and found the problem of consciousness to be quite interesting. Some of the people that I were reading about at the time were really into theoretical neuroscience. So I Googled the school PhD schools that had theoretical neuroscience, and that's how I got involved in them. And then it kind of went from there.
Could you give a little bit of a background to what theoretical neuroscience is to people who might not know?
Okay, so theoretical neuroscience is sort of using mathematical tools to be able to discuss and analyze the brain. This takes two main forms. One is to or maybe three, depending on how you look at it. One is to use mathematical tools to analyze large data sets to be able to understand what they are,
Okay,
because the brain generates quite a bit of data from a
right.
scientific perspective. The other is to model various physical aspects of the brain and to try to say, okay, ions go in and out of the cells this way, channels open up like this. Can we use differential equations or other mathematical tool sets to be able to model this and make predictions? And the sort of third way that one can approach this is treating the brain itself as a computational device and trying to use principles of computational science to be able to understand what is actually going on as sort of a very wide view of the brain.
Okay, that's interesting. So, what's your specific interest within theoretical neuroscience?
My main thing within theoretical neuroscience is perception. How do we create the subjective experience of the world from objective phenomena? What I mean by that is that you are able to take information and raw data in from your eyes and ears, touch, whatever, and you create a sort of best way to put it is a simulation of the real world for you to interact with. This is a non-trivial process, but it is absolutely fascinating in terms of how do you take absolute values of photons coming into your eyes and turning it into your own three-dimensional perspective of the world. That would be
Yeah,
a brief primer on it.
yeah. And I know one of the things that you focused on is the role of noise
Mhm.
and neuronal communication and timing. So I was hoping you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay, sure. One of the things that I studied a bit was neuronal noise. And I'm going to invite you for a second to do a quick task for me.
Okay.
And any listener can also do this as long as you're not driving. Do me a favor and close your eyes for a second. What do you see?
I mean, I have a ring light in front of me, so I see red, just
Okay.
nothing though, I guess. I mean, or
Okay.
not nothing, but I guess just a red
Okay.
landscape. Yeah.
So just to make it control better, you can put your hands over your eyes to block out the ring light entirely.
Okay, yeah.
And what do you see?
Like a dark green, black maybe, just
Okay.
yeah.
So it's not just black though. It's not just nothing.
There
There's
are some stuff after images maybe, I don't know, but
Yeah. So there's it's kind of like static on an old TV if you've ever seen that. That
yeah.
thing, pinpricks of light coming in and out. There's blobs coming around.
Yeah,
Uh,
blobs.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe
So
it.
you can open your eyes now, and
Okay, yeah.
this is noise in your nervous system. Your brain is a biological device. It is messy and noisy, and so signals either don't transmit with full fidelity, or sometimes even there's extra noise added. This you can see in how perception works. You have various features on top of the objective stuff coming in that sort of distort it a little bit. I was interested in that noise and how one can model the biological noise that we know exists. So when one neuron communicates to another, it doesn't send a signal with full fidelity. You can calculate that and figure out how much noise that should add. And with that, you can say, like, does this explain behaviorally mistakes we make and our judgments about where things are in the world, how bright they are, how far away they are, yada, yada, yada. We do not see the world perfectly. Is the reason for this because of the noise in our nervous system that I described, or is it something else? And that was my thesis project. I
Oh, wow.
got to the point that we found out that one of the tacit assumptions in the field was that a lot of the reasons for the mistakes that people made in these types of sensory judgment tasks, it's called psychophysics, if anyone's interested, where you try to figure out the how to relate the outside phenomena to the internal perception. Uh, People make mistakes in these. Uh, Basically, I found that the noise couldn't explain the types of errors we were seeing in people's judgments. And that I think is fascinating. I couldn't figure out what was causing it. I have some ideas, but I had to graduate at some point. So that's why that
Yeah.
was, we finished up the project, I graduated, and I moved on to Rice University and started teaching.
Yeah. So speaking of teaching, when you were helping launch the neuroscience major at Rice, what specific decisions kind of went into designing the curriculum, and how did you decide like which parts were essential?
So a lot of the curriculum was kind of decided a bit before I was there, but
Okay.
there were gaps in it, and a couple of things that came up was that we needed some upper level courses, and these upper level courses were partly my choice. And I thought the two main things that we needed were one in behavioral neuroscience and one in a sort of molecular neuroscience, because that's two broad fields that we
Yeah.
we didn't have at Rice. We have a wonderful cognitive neuroscience department.
Okay.
So all this more psychological stuff they had already taken care of, and we had some systems neuroscience already. But in terms like pure like behavioral neuroscience, where you're studying how does the brain and behavior interact, and how does the brain work at a molecular level, those two things I really filled out. Additionally, I helped build some of the labs that were here, so that we turned a basic idea of one of the wet labs into including a lot of electrophysiological experiments where we stick
Wow.
wires into mostly cockroaches and try to
Yeah.
record from their neurons. And then I had a lot of freedom to kind of do what I wanted. One of the unique things that I figured out fairly early on was that I had an outreach group that I worked with, BrainSTEM, which you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And that was mostly grad students at the time, but I was like, this would be really fun for undergrads to do. Because I'm a big believer that the best way to learn is to teach, or at least one of the best ways to learn is to teach.
Right.
Uh, and so we started building that into the core feature of the program, uh,
Oh,
that about 70 to 80% of our students go out and do 3 semesters of teaching neuroscience to high school, middle school, even elementary school kids in the
that's
Houston
really cool.
area.
Yeah. We have a similar group here called WashU Synapse Group,
Oh,
and
nice.
I kind of like bring them to my high school every year because they do a great job of kind of like teaching topics, and they have like brains and cool stuff. But could you explain a little bit more about like BrainSTEM and what it does? And I guess you've already like kind of explained it, but maybe in more detail, like what exactly it is. So,
Yes. So, I mean, it's a pretty unique program. What we do is we have a bunch of partner schools in the area. These are all from underserved communities.
okay.
And I routinely get professors like, can you teach that at our schools? Like, that's not our target audience, but we'll send somebody by and do a single off demo. But we go to these schools and we teach once a week neuroscience in very active lessons. So we have
Wow.
about 5 or 6, maybe 7 undergrads go, and they all are teaching. They have a lesson for that week. These are active lessons. We're not lecturing at them because the last thing any middle school student wants to do is to
Yeah.
sit down at a desk and listen for another 40 minutes, an hour,
Right.
uh, to be able to and so what we do things like the neuroscience of taste. So we'll bring spicy food, and some chips and salsa. We also bring some milk. We'll bring other ingredients as well and try which one of these is the best thing to make to feel spicy and then to get rid of it. What does this tell us about the chemistry of spicy? What does this tell about our receptors? Why do we feel spiciness? What's and Things like that. We'd also have like salty chips? Why do we salt, sweet, all these things? And we use this as an excuse to talk about neuroscience. We
Yeah.
have social neuroscience where we do things like game theory, and we have people do the students play against each other for candy in a prisoner's dilemma type situation. If you know what that is, do you know what the prisoner's dilemma is?
No.
Okay. There's a thing in game theory called the prisoner's dilemma, and what that is basically the narrative is a person or the cops catch two criminals, and they have enough on them to be able to like we can put you away for a year, each of you away for a year. But if you help me, get if you help me get the confess, if you confess and help me get the other person into jail for 5 years, I'll let you go away for free.
Oh,
And
okay, I
they put them
see.
in different rooms. And so
Yeah.
the goal is that it's the best situation is for both prisoners to be like, nope, nothing, not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
The worst situation is both to rat out the other person, and the alternative is one person rats the other person out and they go to jail for 5 years and then the other one goes scot-free.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you always have to think about what is the other person thinking in this situation. And are they going to rat me out? Because if they rat me out, then I need to rat them out. And so you think about what they're thinking and you think about what they think you're thinking. And of course, you think about what they're thinking, you're thinking that they're thinking. And so this type of activity is called an example in social neuroscience of what we would think of as like theory of mind or social thinking. And it turns out that the brain processes this simulation of other people very differently than how it processes a simulation of a ball rolling down a hill. And whenever a lot of neuroscientists use variations on this task, obviously not putting them in prison, but things like if you both cooperate, you get some type of reward. But if you decide to screw the other person over, you can get more reward and they don't get anything. Then and they do examples like this in fMRIs and whatnot to figure out what the brain is doing. So
Yeah.
that's a long-winded explanation that you might
Yeah.
cut from this. I don't know if you can do that.
No, no, no. I
Um,
think that's actually interesting here. You like explain in detail. So.
we would do that with candy with the kids, or
Oh,
we would
okay.
and have them like, all right, you two high school students, how much do you know each other? Do you want it more, or do you want it more? Or is this person gonna screw you over? And they get really into it, and they learn a little bit about, okay, this
Yeah,
is
so I was actually going to ask if you like do it with high schoolers, and I guess you already answered that, but I was curious like what do you see like happen commonly or is there no pattern at all? So,
Uh,
yeah.
so there are patterns, and it oftentimes depends on existing social relationships, right? That if they're good friends, they'll work together. If they're
Right.
not, they might screw each other. Occasionally, you see people who are really good friends, and they kind of like they know they're joshing each other, and there's
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about.
about
Yeah.
that. So like there's this, if you're really good friends, you might be more willing to screw them over because it's like, okay, we'll make up afterwards.
Right,
Uh,
right. Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're like kind of like I know you but don't know you, maybe I'm good. And if it's like I don't know you, don't, I'm never gonna see you again. I kind of want that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the what we see overall. We do have I do train the mentors, the undergrads, to be like, okay, read the audience. If everyone's cooperating, this is not a very good demo. So you need to like go over their shoulder and like, what's he thinking over there? Is he thinking about screwing you over? Don't you want this?
Oh, I
And
see.
like try
Yeah.
to encourage them to do whatever they're not doing,
Right.
uh, so that we get a little variety in our response. So it's not scientific in the standard way, but
Right.
it helps demonstrate to the kids why we might find this
Yeah,
interesting.
I think like the most important thing there is like you're igniting like an interest in them. Yeah. So how many years has this been going on or how many years have you been doing it too, I guess? So,
Yes, 2011. So almost 14. I've been almost doing it 14. I've been doing
wow.
it as a pro, like it was a graduate student organization
Yeah.
before. It is now currently, and now it's primarily undergraduate. So we have about 50 undergraduates going on a weekly basis to 5 or 6 different schools.
Okay.
I,
Wow. Weekly is like, I didn't know it was that common. That's great. I mean,
yeah,
that must be amazing for the kids.
it is. It's
Yeah.
really nice for us to. It's really good for the undergrads to get the teaching experience. It's really good
Right.
for the
It's a great
the
opportunity.
K-12 kids to
Yeah.
be able to. meet the college students. A lot of them don't know many college students, don't know anybody in college. So it'd be like,
Because
okay,
I guess they're in underserved communities, right? So
yep.
that's yeah, that's amazing what you guys are doing. And then I guess my goal with asking how long you've been doing it is have you been able to like see any maybe like people who were inspired by these to like pursue neuroscience or at Rice or maybe in other ways? Like I'm just curious if you've seen any like stories of people that have been influenced by these workshops.
We've gotten a few students that have gone to Rice. The ones that came didn't necessarily stay for neuroscience, but they were certainly inspired to go. One of the things that's very nice for us is that there's a perception in a lot of communities that whenever they see Google Rice University and they see they get a bit of sticker shock as they should because it says say $60,000 a year to go. And it's like that's for the people in these communities that's not how much it costs.
Right.
So letting people know and giving a realistic idea of like, no, apply. You should apply
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and whatnot. That is something I think we've done a lot of good with. We've also had the benefit we've inspired a couple people to go to college, including Rice University. Uh,
Wow.
and I've actually had people who did BrainSTEM, came to Rice and taught BrainSTEM.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I was asking. If like that's beautiful. That's amazing that people have done that.
So we're seeing a fair amount. We're seeing a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about like documenting this in like a video or like I guess like some sort of like online like way to like show this to the world, I guess, because I think it's amazing. Like we guys are doing.
At some point, yeah. So we have on our website the manual, which is a list
Okay.
of different lessons that we do.
Yeah.
Uh, Another feature is that it's very generated by the students. So
Yeah.
the core of it, me and another guy named Brian Lim, I made it during and a few other grad students made in 2015, 16, something like that, maybe a little bit later. But it's like 14 or 15 lessons were made by us. And then after that, undergrads have been the one adding lessons. So every Friday they prep for the next week, and in the class for the course, they either create or you create a new one or use an old lesson and teach everybody else how to teach it to the K-12 students.
Wow.
Uh, so I'm not the one doing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I see what you mean. Yes, yes.
so
Yeah.
they also decide what supplies they need, whatnot. I make that happen, but that's up to them. And they they've generated this document that has 30 different lesson plans over the course of a decade.
Wow. Yeah.
That are pretty good, have experience, and most of them work pretty well. We've made a few videos about neuroscience. They're all on our website at brainstem.rice.edu. But yeah, I mean, like we've thought about a documentary at one point, and
Okay.
probably will at some point.
Yeah.
Just it's just one more thing to do, right?
Yeah. 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 And I just wanted to ask also, like with that document, is that like public or like is that kind
Yep.
of like just being oh,
Yeah, so like it's
okay.
on. So we have at brainstem.rice.edu. It's
Okay.
not extraordinarily professional.
Right,
Like
right. But
it is.
still.
It's pretty good. It's better than it was.
I'm gonna go visit it after
Yeah.
our interview, but
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, and you're welcome to link it.
I'm actually
People
gonna.
can use it. I know that there are people who have used it in like I got a request to use it in an event in California about a week ago.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's
a few
amazing.
of
Yeah.
our undergrads have gone to med school and grad school and have brought the document with them. Uh,
Yeah.
and have not started brainstorms per se, but they've definitely used demos. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's just about building tools and building, if anything else, a culture of people that can use them.
Yeah.
Uh, so besides just learning neuroscience, learning how to build an organization like this is something that I really want to get into the heads of the students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and that's something that I think that we can offer that isn't seen in many places.
Right. Yeah. And I think the extent to which you guys are doing it is amazing because I know like I'm not trying to like compare or anything, but here at the WashU Synapse group, like I don't think it's as like structured as like how like routine and I was like shocked by like when you said weekly
Mhm.
because like that's a lot of dedication by the students too. And I love how you've kind of like integrated it to the point where like the students are now just continuously like churning out material and probably like having a great time doing it too and like meeting all these people and hopefully inspiring them too. So,
I like to it's become a central part of the community at Rice University.
Wow.
And like you go, like I said, about 80% of, I think like 70 or 80% of the majors do it at some point. And
Really?
yeah, like
Like of everyone at Rice?
of all of the neuroscience majors at
Okay,
Rice.
okay, of all of the neuroscience
Yeah,
majors.
like we're not that big yet. Like
Right, yeah. But still, I mean
we're
that's amazing.
we
70,
have
80% of all the neuroscience majors at Rice have like done it at least like once or like okay,
once or
wow.
twice, not I think more than that too.
Yeah.
That and it counts as an elective. Like I said, like if you do it three
Okay, I
times,
see what you mean. Yeah.
if you do it three times, it counts as an elective because it's a 1 credit hour course.
Oh, so you've kind of like embedded it into like the main. That's amazing. Like, because then you're like, I guess at first, like students might like be incentivized to like
Yeah.
collect like something. I'm guessing like as they do it, they probably like start to like really be like more passionate about it too. So,
It's all like a lot of your friends are doing it, and
right. Yeah.
you're on the car ride over. You have 30 minutes to chat with them. I know a lot of roommates and friends have been made, and they chat the
Yeah.
30-minute drive to the school and back. So yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah. So, my next question is a little more like broad.
Mhm.
It's just like, what advice do you have for students, like high schoolers or undergraduates, who like think they're interested in neuroscience, like whether that's like how to explore it or like how to like know what you're interested in or if you're interested in, etc. Just what advice do you have for like younger people? Yeah.
So actually, I get this question a lot because, but there's a website on my website. There's under advising, and
Okay.
you can put the link out there if you haven't seen it. I'll put the link in chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Later. But there's a letter, an open letter called a letter to precocious K-12 students interested in neuroscience. And somewhat in jest, but it's basically it answers this question. So if
Okay.
anybody wants to take a look at this, they're welcome to. But basically, I give a few books and documentaries and things I suggest you would take. I certainly suggest doing Backyard Brains. I don't know if you've run into that before.
I do know of that. Yes. I do
So
remember that. Yeah.
that's for the audience that may not know. This is a group that has built cheap little
Yeah.
electrophysiological devices so that they can do neuroscience experiments on cockroaches. Whenever I was talking about the labs we do at Rice, this is actually something we do. That these devices are good enough to do labs in
Wow.
simple labs in a college level neuroscience class. We
Yeah.
do a little more complicated stuff than what they have kits for, but still same basic idea. I was just trying to play around them as long as you're okay with cockroaches and crickets and things like that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would suggest for students interested in neuroscience or any science is learning how to program. Something
Okay.
that's become increasingly important. Even with LLMs helping you how to do it, like actually knowing the foundational principles and writing your own stuff is going to continue being helpful, and LLMs will help you do some amazing things once you
Right.
have the understanding what they can
Especially
do.
in like theoretical neuroscience, right? With all like the
I, I mean, theoretical neuroscience, yeah, but almost in anything that
right. Yeah.
if you can put together some code, like you're going to do data analysis, you need to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I know I'm like I do like circadian rhythm stuff and like data analysis is a huge thing like here. Like just knowing how to like not even just like spreadsheets, but like if you have the ability to like design tools that can go through data, like you can ultimately process so much like so quickly.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, like so the spread, like being able to actually use those tools is really useful and will look very nice in a lab. That might work.
Right. Yeah.
But I get a lot of people trying to do labs and like trying to join lab. If you get a chance and it falls in your lap, that's great. I would suggest that it's good if you get a chance to do it. But so many people come in, they're like, I have to get a lab that's really that important. And I don't think that it is. I think that high school students, like what it tells me if I'm looking at a resume with a lab is that you happen to know someone, that a family
Right.
member or something that, or a friend of a family that was able to put you in a lab because there just aren't that many spaces and everyone's trying for
Right.
one.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're a shining, brilliant person that you got a lab space. It's that you kind of got a little bit lucky. Not that, it's not, you're
Right.
not going to learn something useful from it. What I would suggest though, and this is my general theory of what everyone should do, is that you should follow your passion, but in a disciplined and public way. So I'll use you as an example, is that you're interested in neuroscience, and you're running a podcast, as well as a bunch of other things. The podcast is a deliverable you have for the public, It shows to people outside that you're able to work on a project for a long period of time and get something out of it. It shows that you have intense curiosity for a long period of time and not just like, ooh, I saw something neat about neuroscience. But and I think that both of those things are really important because if you have good grades, I know you can work really nicely for the evening before the test and you can study
Right.
really hard.
Yeah.
But that tells me very little about your ability to do work on a long-term scale.
Right.
Uh, because there are many people who can cram and still can't put a project together over time by themselves. So by doing some type of public project, you're one, making a nice public thing that people can see that you're conscientious and able to do this. And the other thing is it keeps you honest, right? The analogy I would say is that if you're a guitar player and you don't go and try to do performances ever, you're never going to get much better because no
Right.
one's ever going to push you.
Right.
But doing something in public, it's like, oh man, I got to do something interesting. I got to try to get a little bit better at this
Yeah.
and because you have that deliverable. Um, you've essentially made a claim that I can do this, and then you better do it. So I think that having that blog, having that podcast, having that website with a new feature, a research problem that you're finding interesting, all those things are good. The one on the website, I think, is something along the lines suggesting of if you're interested in the neuroscience of taste, or if you like cooking and you like neuroscience, start writing about the neuroscience of taste and how that works.
Yeah.
Uh, and after 6 months, you'll have a pretty good research. You'll have a pretty good,
Pretty good
uh,
taste of the research.
you're pretty good research. Yeah, thank you. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest suggestion.
Yeah. Well, that was amazing, and that was really good. I mean, everything that you said there like really resonated with me, and thank you for like offering that advice, especially to me and everyone who watches this podcast. And thank you for taking the time like join me today and talk about your insights and your perspectives and the innovative stuff you're doing at Rice. And I hope to continue to see it grow. And I'm just really glad that we were able to talk today and have this conversation.
Well, it's been a pleasure.